Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to start on a new project here. In the last video you saw we did the floor, the subfloor and everything, the insulation on the cheap Chevy Express Campervan conversion. So this is where we were working. We got the floor down. In the next step here, we want to get some heat into this thing because it is going to be used in the winter time potentially. And up in my neck of the woods, it gets to be around we definitely see temperatures of minus 40 degrees, and even if you're working in Freedom units there in the US, that's still minus 40. It converts, it's exactly the same. It's really cold. So what I have here is a cheap Chinese diesel heater. So down on the bottom there, you got intake air and combustion gases going out, air in, gas out. So I'm going to drill some holes in the floor for that. I'm probably looking right around here somewhere. I haven't 100% made up my mind, but I think it's going to go right around this corner here, or next to the wheel well. So I'll have to drill a hole down there to run that exhaust and intake out. But mainly, first things first, this thing needs some power to run. So it runs on 12 volt direct current, which means it's going powered right off the battery. Now the battery is all the way up front. If I had to run cables, that's going to be like 20 feet away. You're running 20 feet of line, you're going to suffer something called voltage drop, which means that it takes a certain amount of voltage just to push the electricity through all that copper line. So if I had to do that, that means I got to upsize the lines and run about 6 gauge wiring all the way from the front, and I don't really want to do that. It's kind of big wiring. I'd like to keep things small, easy. So what we're going to do is put in a house battery in the back here to power any sort of extra auxiliaries that we have, namely this diesel heater specifically. Then we can run like a 2-foot run of wires, and we can use the stock 16 gauge wire that come with the kit. But we have to run some wiring from under the hood up here all the way to the back so that we can power up our battery and charge it and stuff from the alternator when the vehicle's running. I will have shore power too at some point. So what we have right here, this is a split charge relay. So I'll run that one positive up from the front all the way to the back. Then we're going to have a ground and power connected to the battery in the back. That's what's going to allow that alternator to charge that battery. And then from the battery, we'll have a few leads connecting over to our power source here on the diesel heater and run that. But also, we have a battery charger, which I'm going to go ahead and hook up to our house battery. Shore power will come eventually. Probably just going to run a extension cord for now, just to run out the front. So I'll show you where I'm doing that. But here we go. We're going to be starting under the hood, and this thing is it's a side post terminal battery. So that's not exactly the best option for connecting to like extra wires to. So this has a direct lead right to our fuse box here. So I'll be able to pop that open and just tap our positive right off the main lead of that fuse box, and then I can take it under there, under the hood, through the firewall. I'll probably have to pull the doghouse inside there, and but once I figure that all out, I won't be able to get a camera in there to really show you anything. But once we pull this doghouse out, it'll make lots of room, and I'll figure somewhere for things to go, and then then I'll get back at you once it's all done, and I'll show you where I ran everything, and you can go ahead and criticize everything I did in the comments. So I'll be back at you when it's done. Alright, first things first, we just want to get the line ran to where we need it. So here is the line. We got it where we need it, right at the back. So I'll show you, round it all the way there. I'll go up front and show you the start of this thing up under the hood here. So there's our fuse box right there, and you see connected right to the main connector there. Red line running around the back. I don't know if you'll be able to get under there and see. There's a grommet back there. That's where a main wiring harness runs through. So pop that through there. Here we are in the driver compartment. Come right out of there. It's probably going to be tough to see in here. I tucked it all along this kick panel here, and then into our right in behind this step saver here, along the seat, and then boom, out the back. Run it to where we need it in the back. Still have to cut in and splice in a relay, which is part of the kit there up front. Just wanted to get the line where I needed it for now to make sure we could get everything where it had to go. That is done, so I'll get that relay spliced in, and then we'll start working on hooking up the relay itself and getting everything set up. All right, there we go. We got the split charge relay hooked up there, sitting in place, ready to go. I found a old battery that just needed some juice. I got it sitting on the charger right now. I'll probably upgrade that at some point in the future. For now, we just want to get a battery into this thing so we can test the system once I get it all hooked up. So now I want to figure out where I'm going to mount this heater here. So I kind of roughly have my position laid out here with this plate, but I'm gonna go. I got to drill some holes through the floor. So got some hole saws and whatnot here. I'm gonna drop the spare tire here underneath, and then really find out exactly where I want to go from underneath. I'll probably just drill some pilot holes up through, and then I can hole saw my way back down, and then we'll get everything mounted there when I figure this all out with measuring tape, or I might even bust out the laser. Here we go. Okay, so we got some holes drilled here for our heater inlet and outlet. So just took our mounting plate here, got down underneath, found a spot where it looked like I had room, held the plate up there and just drilled a couple pilot holes from underneath that lined up with the plate, and then I got room to get my exhaust and intake out of here somewhere. You know, run over that way, out this way somewhere. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't in the way of the exhaust or too much of the spare tire or anything. And then came up top here, had our pilot holes, used the hole saw to drill out what we need. I'm still gonna have to notch a bit out here so that I can get in at these bolts in case in the event I ever got to take this heater out. One of these days when it ever screws up, it is a cheap Chinese diesel heater, so I imagine at some point I'll need to do some maintenance on it. So I want to be able to get that out when I can, when I need to. So I'm going to go ahead and notch that stuff out and then look at mounting this thing, and then we'll worry about the electrical. Alright, we've got position marked and everything here. One underneath, confirmed I got lots of room. Everything looks good. It's all lined up really nice. So got the plate attached to the bottom here. What I'm going to go ahead and do is use this fire barrier caulking. And it's supposed to be watertight, fireproof, all this stuff. It withstands high heat. So I'm just going to go ahead and adhere the whole plate, mounting plate, right to our floor right here. And then this way, just in case that this plate decides to heat up, I don't have to worry about it burning the wood or anything, potentially starting a fire. Definitely wouldn't want that. It should be okay here because there's a rubber isolator plate in there that should prevent any heat transfer through to that mounting plate. But just to be safe, plus it's waterproof, watertight, everything like that, so don't have to worry about any water ingress coming back in from anywhere. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere that to that, and then there we go. We got our permanent location ready and mounted. Okay, we've got our plate and our heater all adhesive down now. Not much to show you there, so I didn't bother recording it or anything. That's done. I said we were going to move on to electrical next, but I think it would be prudent here to actually get this heater all hooked up with all everything it needs, fuel, exhaust, air. So I got the fuel tank over there. I'm actually going to build a small, simple box for this thing, just so I'm going to mount it right around here, just in the back with the door closed, so that, you know, when we open the one door there, it can just reach the fuel filler easy with a jerry can or something. I don't really want it inside the vehicle anywhere where you got potential to be spilling diesel inside the vehicle. It would be stinky and gross. So I'm going to go ahead and build a quick box. I'll show you that. And then we'll see where we can go ahead and mount this thing, and then get everything, all the auxiliaries hooked up for this heater. right there's the start of our cheap crap fuel box. So I'm just gonna I'll have to hang this up, affix that to the other side of that there, and then we can put the standpipe into the fuel tank, run the fuel line out. I'll drill a hole in the bottom to run the fuel line out. Once that's all done, I can close this box in and then find out where we're going to go ahead and mount it in here. Probably have to drill another hole for a fuel line, but for now I'm running out of daylight, which is good old northern Canada here. It's 5 o'clock and we're out of daylight, so pick this up again tomorrow, and we'll see you then. All right, here we are, new day. Got like a few hours of daylight left that I'm gonna try to make use of here. I don't get a whole lot. So here we got all our stuff for the fuel tank. What we have is a little thread through nozzle with its pinch nut, some O-rings that'll have to go on either side. What they do on this fuel tank is there's a little spot there and one on the bottom here that are meant to drill through, and that's where we're going to run our fitting in. So I don't want to put it on the bottom because that's where sediment and crap and water tend to sit when it settles out in diesel. So we want to go from the side. The best way to do this would be to have a standpipe from the top, but for some reason this kit didn't come with one. So I'm going to make do with what I got for now because I just need to get this done. So I'm going to go through the side. I will drill a hole in my makeshift box, and that's where our fuel line will be able to come in through. To fit this thing down in, like, this isn't a full-on do-it-yourself here or anything, but I'm just going to kind of give you the quick Coles notes, and then I'll do a quick time lapse there doing it and show you. 9/30 seconds drill bit is what it looks like this thing needs. I put my verniers on it, and that's about the size it is. So that's what we're going to use, 9/30 seconds. You look that up anywhere else online, nobody ever wants to tell you what size drill bit, so that's what we need. Go through the side there with that. What I got here is just an old, basic wire coat hanger. I ran my fitting down onto it, put just enough of a bend into it there that it won't fall off, and then I can shove this through from the top and out my hole there, because otherwise there's no way you're going to get your hands in there to shove that through. The other thing you can do is try and put a piece of string on it and fish that out. This is a little more rigid, should work a little bit better. There's enough of a bend in it here that this won't be able to push too far back up. So I should be able to just get that straight out, push it out, put the pinch nut on, then we can drill our hole here, run our fuel line in. And these kits, what they do is they come with this this green fuel line here. This stuff is junk. It'll just swell and crack over time. So what you do is you take this and you go and get an upgrade kit for it. So I'll go ahead and link this below if you're ever doing this, so you can just find it real simple. But this hard line should hold up quite a bit better. It's got the nicer connectors and stuff like that, fuel filter, everything, clamps. So we're gonna go ahead, run that all together. Then we'll go ahead and mount the fuel tank to the box, and then I'll close the box in with the top there, and that should be it. I just have to find somewhere to mount it down, and then we can worry about running the fuel line and everything. But for now, that's what we'll get to. So I'll go ahead and put you on time lapse and we'll get that done. There we go. Now, as you would have saw, I had to drill a much bigger hole over here. I went 1.5 inches just because our grommet here, our connector hose, didn't come through far enough that I would have been able to get the connector on there. because it just goes out to the flush of the wood there. So drilled a bigger hole. Now I can get a wrench in and do that up properly and everything, so that's fine. I decided on we'll leave this thing open for now until I confirm I got no leaks, anything like that. Try to do it smart. So we'll get diesel into it later once this everything's hooked up, and then we'll confirm no leaks. Then I can close this in, and eventually we'll have to build something for inside. I kind of want to close this cap in. I don't want to risk spilling anything inside of the van. The bed's going to be right there, you know, so that would be horrible. Now I've been looking around, and it doesn't really seem like there's any great place to bring the fuel line out and go through the floor somewhere, just based on underneath what's under there, the frame and everything. I need a spot I can get through easily, but I want it to be far enough away from the heater. You don't want to mount these pumps too close to the heater, because the pressure is just right there going into the pump, and it'll make it sound funny and stuff like that. So you're trying to be like within 1.5 to 3 feet away from the thing. So I'm just going to go ahead, pick a spot underneath here. It's right around here, just straight out from the heater, where I can go right through. A nice soft spot on the floor where I'm not messing with any floor integrity, and we'll run the fuel line out there. I'll show you once I get it done, because I'm not 100% sure exactly where I'm going to put it. So I'm just going to go ahead, find a spot, drill it, run the fuel line through, and I'll show you where it come out, and then we'll figure out mounting the pump, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so looks like from underneath there, went 7 inches over from the center of the heater, right over here, 1/2 inch hole, and there it is, coming out. So it's right above the frame rail there, so that hole is kind of protected from getting stuff shot at it and whatnot. I'll throw some silicone in there later just to protect this thing and make sure it's not vibrating around against that metal. I already stuck it onto the heater there, the grommet, so this is what better time now to just go ahead and I'll undo the bolts there, pull the heater back out, and then I'll hook up the exhaust intake and the clamps on this fuel line, and then we can shove it back in, and then we'll route everything, find out places to route all the exhaust and the intake, and then we can button it all back down, and hopefully we'll get to test running this thing eventually. Alright guys, I apologize. I would have loved to show you more of what I'm doing here, but daylight's burning. I got to get something done during the day here. It takes too much time to set up the camera and get anything done here when I'm losing daylight at a rapid pace. So I'll show you here what we got done. I pulled the heater up, I connected everything underneath, I got a fuel line around there. So we got our exhaust peeking out the corner here of the wheel well. Okay, that's that. I don't even know what you'll be able to see here because I don't have a ton of light. So we got our exhaust intake coming out. We got a fuel line here, so I'm gonna still have to cut this and mount a fuel pump there. We got air intake coming out here. If this all didn't turn out worth crap under there, I'll shoot a better one here when I got some daylight on me next time, first thing in the day. So next up, we got to hook up the fuel pump. I'll have to drill another hole. We'll run some electrical down for the fuel pump, and then we'll get to tying in the heater and everything with the battery and whatnot, so that we can test run this thing. And then we will have heat. I can close the doors. I can work inside and finally get something done without freezing my knuckles off. All right, so we'll get to that next time here. Okay, we got daylight again for a few hours. So I think I found a spot here where we can mount this fuel pump. It's just kind of this, you can see there's where the spare tire goes. We got our utilities coming out from the bottom, and we got this ridge right here where there's nothing behind, and this should make a good spot just to drill that fuel pump in. Has to be at an angle, but let's go ahead, I think, and mount that right there, and then we can cut some lines, hook this up, and get up top and hook it to the tank, and that should be about it for the fuel system, other than getting some fuel in and testing it out. All right. There's no way I'm going to be able to hold the camera and show you that at the same time. Do all the work. So I'll come back at you when I got her done, show you what's up. Hello friends again. I know this is going to be seamless for you. For me, I almost forgot where I was at. It's been like 10 days now since I've been at this last. I had to go up to work. I still got a job and all that stuff, so that's fun. I come out and refamiliarize here. We're working on the heater and to pick up some ring terminals. Got a battery back here, which, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned it, this is not a permanent setup by any means. This is just a junk old battery I had laying around so that I can wire this up and just test this heater and whatnot. Something else I didn't explain much, we got our harness here for the heater. It just needs a power and a ground, which are going to go right to the battery. Once that's hooked up, we can just plug everything in here, right? One end will go into the heater, the other end will go to the controller, which is over in the box still. And then I'll get the fuel tank here just moved over. I grabbed a jerry can full of diesel this morning. So once we got that wiring done, fuel tank in place, we'll fill that up. I can prime this heater up and finally test this thing and see if we can make some heat. So let's go on and let's finish that up. Okay, here we go. We got diesel in the tank. Tank is hooked up here. Now, there's nothing running into the line yet. I don't even know if you'll be able to see that on camera, but this is totally dry here. So, I'm gonna have to go underneath and pop the line off there at the heater. Let the head pressure just push that fuel out and prime that line up to the pump. And hopefully that'll be enough to get things moving here so that we can finally turn it on and test it. Now, I got a bit of a light here, so I'll pop under and show you. We're at the back here. Just gonna go down and under. And it just snowed. I'm gonna get my back all wet. Okay. So, there's where the fuel line runs into the heater. And we have exhaust coming out here. Just over the frame, running out over there by the wheel well. Not gonna contact any suspension or anything, so that'll be good. And then up here is where the fuel line comes out. I don't know if I can get you up there high enough to see. There's a hole in the floor where the fuel line comes out. You got a bit of corrugated line on there just to protect it. There's our fuel pump, like I say, and then up and around and into the heater. You're supposed to be within 1.5 to 3 feet away, the pump is, from the actual heater. So that's why I kind of have this big loop-de-doo around there. So I got to get up in there. There's no way I'll be able to hold the camera and show you that while I do it. So I'll just pop you back out of here. I'm gonna go ahead and pop that off myself off camera and try and get this primed up here, and then we'll look at testing this out. Okay, I just unhooked at the pump suction there, give it a little, wrap my lips around there, give it a little suck, and out comes some diesel. So all it took was one little suck. Unfortunately, it's a skill I don't like to brag about. Now, I got a mouthful of diesel, which was gross. Spit that out, and here we go. We got our controller here wired up, just plugged in. That's all you do is just plug it in there. Now, as you'll see here from these wonderful instructions, add diesel. After the machine is installed, check whether the phone is stuck. If it is stuck, it cannot be started. Huh? These are great. Yeah, they're basically, these instructions are useless. You would think whatever Chinese manufacturer did this would just copy the Webasto instructions word for word, but they didn't. So we'll just try and figure this out on our own. Everything's hooked up. I don't know if this battery's any good. I just robbed this out of an old junk car I have here in the garage. So let's start with the power button and see if that does anything. Nothing. All right, well, I better test my battery and stuff. I checked it for voltage before. I've had it on a trickle charge here the entire 10 days I've been gone, but maybe this battery's pooched. So I'm gonna test this and get back to you. Okay, I got the meter out, checked it out. I got 3 volts at the battery, so that's the problem right there. That's not even going to be enough to make the voltage drop over through all the wiring. So I'm either going to have to get this on charger for a while, or just get a whole new battery, which I'm going to a lithium-ion battery for this as a full-time deal anyway. I only put this in here just to be able to test this thing. I still want to test it, so I might just go ahead and grab the good battery out of the van here that's for the starter, and or I'll pull my other vehicle up and we'll just run some leads over here, maybe some booster cables to give it some voltage here and test this out. And voila, we got another battery in here. Just pulled one out of a different vehicle of mine that I know is good. As soon as I hooked it up, we got some power happening on the screen. I don't even think there's any way that's going to show on the camera. I can barely see it here with my own eyeballs. So we have, it's showing us we have good voltage. There, you can kind of see that there. Now let's see, I should probably look up some instructions online, because the ones that are in the book are absolutely no good. Oh, there, that lit up even better. Now, I know this thing has some sort of prime function on it for priming the fuel, but everything I've read about that says do not ever prime it, or it basically just floods the entire heater full of fuel and screws it up and gives it an error code, and then it never runs right again. So I'm going to look something up on what to do with this to see if we can get that fuel pump cycling. We should be able to hear it if it's turning and it's if it's pumping, and it is not pumping right now. All right. Okay. I didn't even look anything up. I just screwed around with this a bit more. So I just held the power button down for about 5 seconds, and then all of a sudden the fan came to life on this heater. You can hear it running there now. There, it's blowing air, but I wasn't getting any fuel pump. Waited, and before you know it, the fuel pump kicked on its own. We get the light on here and stuff so we can see what we're doing. There's the fuel pump. You can hear it clicking away. Took a minute, but you can see there is fuel moving there. So I had it primed right up to the other end right here. I'm not sure how much that you can see, but I had it primed right up to the pump. Just took a minute for the pump to cycle enough to get the fuel through. I think there at the light just the right way, you can see some fuel moving. There is a couple little bubbles in there, which is pretty normal on these things. So I can see there is fuel making its way. It's just about there to the heater now. And then I'm going to go up now and start checking if we're getting heat, because the fuel pump just cycled out. So, oh, there it goes again. Let's see if we're getting any heat out of this yet. Nothing yet. But that fuel's just got to make its way in there. Once it hits the burner and starts going, we should start feeling heat here. So I'm sure it's going to take just a bit to cycle through. All right, well, I'm going to monitor this for a bit. If I don't run into any more problems, I'll come back and show you heat. And if we do, I'll come back and show you what we do to fix it. Yeah, buddy, we got heat. She is pumping out of there. Oh, this is going to be beauty. Now, finally, we got heat. I'm going to have to get a proper battery for this thing because I don't want a lead acid battery sitting under the bed of this thing. Those can gas off poisonous stuff. So we are going to be going with lithium ion battery. And then, so we'll have to pick one of those up at some point. But at least for now, I have heat. And I got a battery charger on there, hooked up, plugged into my extension cord. So I can at least run this for now. And that'll get us on to the next step. So we're running heat. That's all good. I think that's basically going to be the end of this one here. We got heat. We're good. Now we can shut the doors up. We can make an oven in here. I'll turn it into a nice sauna, you know. And then we can move on. Next step is going to be insulation. Will be next video. Insulate the walls and ceilings. So thanks for keeping me company, and I'll see you next time.